All right. Welcome, everybody, to a Perfect 10 of a Friday right here on the Perfect 10 Sports Show. We're back, finally. Last week we didn't get to do a show. This week we're running a little behind, but that's my fault. We had some technical difficulties too, but hey, we are here. We're going to talk all the things sports. If you love sports, you're in for a great show because we have so many different sports to talk about today. We have some football to talk about, CBJ to talk about. We even have NASCAR to talk about, something Ryan and I haven't done for a couple months at least. So we're very excited to get to do that again. But first and foremost, how you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing fantastic. It's Friday, so I can't complain. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. He is the king of the hill. I am Hot Wheels, and this is his Perfect 10 Sports Show. So we're going to start off with the football portion of this show, starting off with Super Bowl weekend. It is officially here. Before we get into the actual game that is Tampa Bay versus Kansas City, let's start off with how we got here. Starting off with the game that actually was a game between these two championship matchups. Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. What are your thoughts initially on this game? Tampa Bay getting the win and sending themselves to the Super Bowl by beating Green Bay 31-26.
It was everything I thought it was going to be. As we talked on the Perfect 10 Sports Show the Friday before the games happened, I predicted this game would be 28-24. I was pretty close to the final score. It was actually a really fun game to watch. In the first half, Tom Brady looked like vintage Brady again. I mean, he was out there just slinging it around the field. He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But then the second half, he came out and was a little sluggish, really let Green Bay creep back into this ball game, and it made it a lot of fun towards the end. I enjoyed Tom Brady making that call because I feel like that was a Tom Brady call right at the end of the first half of that game where it was 4th and 1, and then they went for it, and then we thought they were going to bring out the field goal unit after converting with 8 seconds to go, but Tom Brady seems to change the play at the line and then find Scotty Miller streaking down the sideline for a touchdown to go into halftime. That was huge. That was a big game changer to go along with, obviously, the Aaron Jones fumble to start the second half. So overall, I mean, Tom Brady looked great in the first half, slumped in the second half. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he even looked pretty solid in this game. They did kind of struggle once they got into the red zone to connect. Him and Devontae Adams, I mean, we saw that connection all year long really connect. And then in this game, that kind of just seemed to fall apart for him, in the red zone in particular. So overall, great game. The GOAT gets another win, and he's going back to the Super Bowl. We're slowly getting back to normal, everybody. We're getting back to normal.
I miss 2020. I miss when weird things happened, and it was absolute chaos.
Tom Brady was eliminated in the wild card round.
But it's crazy. Looking at the 2 stat lines, other 2 quarterbacks that you just mentioned, you really would have assumed that Green Bay won this game. I mean, 3 interceptions for Tom Brady, the GOAT, in a lot of people's eyes. But
he is.
He gets 3 interceptions. Obviously, he gets the 3 touchdowns, so that's the good part. But Aaron Rodgers, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Like, what happened here? It's just, it blew my mind from start to finish, just how this game got out of, not out of hand. I don't want to say that it got out of hand because it's a 31-26 game. The other game got out of hand. But the big question coming out of this game, obviously, has been focused not so much on Tom Brady. We'll get to him in a second. He gets his time. But Aaron Rodgers, who didn't have a lot to say after the press conference.
Not at all.
But the media had a lot to say, of course, as it always does, as we always do. Does Aaron Rodgers have a future in Green Bay? Adam Dell might want to plug his ears for this one.
What? I mean, for me, I'm going to say he does. I mean, I don't see him playing anywhere else right now. I think that he's still going to mold Jordan Love there on the bench, kind of like we saw with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. He played phenomenal this season. He was lights out all year long. I mean, probably going to be the MVP of the season. So I understand if he does want out. I mean, they haven't got over the hump. They're probably, we expect this team to be in the Super Bowl at some point. Every year, this is the year for Green Bay. This is the year for Green Bay. And then they get so far and they fail. Like the NFC Championship game, the hump that they just can't get over. But I think Aaron Rodgers will be back next year.
I actually agree, and I personally want to make him mad at us, but I can't do it because I don't believe it. I don't believe myself if I say this. I do believe he has a future in Green Bay. I think the future is still bright for Green Bay. The question everybody's going to be asking is, how much more does he have left in the tank? Well, if you take this year, he's got a lot left in the tank because he's doing amazing things. He might be the MVP of the league. I see no reason why that wouldn't happen. But, this team did impressive things that no one expected it to do, and we're going to sit here and say that he doesn't have a future in Green Bay. I don't believe it. I really don't, because I feel like they're only getting better every single year. Last year, things didn't end out the way they wanted. Obviously, this year didn't either, but they're getting closer. And I think that's why any other option besides Green Bay is not going to get him in the position that he wants to be. I feel like they do have a good working relationship in Green Bay. They just got to work on some things. There's some tweaks they got to make that they'll figure it out.
I know on the defensive side of the ball, they finally fired Mike Pettin, so that was huge for Green Bay because I've been seeing Green Bay fans preach for the past few seasons that fire him now, and they finally did it after the NFC Championship game. So That could help. They got to find someone to fill those shoes, but I think that'll help them.
And it's not as if his offense was having problems scoring. That was the offense is not the problem. So to me, Aaron Rodgers is not the problem. It's everybody else. The question is, will they fix? And I know there was a lot of issues with the draft and drafting Jordan Love and how that was perceived by the media. Seemed to light a fire under his butt. So who are we to really say anything? All right, you want to move on to Kansas City, or you got any final thoughts?
I mean, that was basically it. The only big key also that I forgot to mention was Tampa Bay was able to capitalize on the turnovers that Green Bay did have, as Green Bay wasn't able to capitalize on the turnovers. I think Green Bay got 6 points off of the 3 turnovers that Tom Brady had, so that's not going to win you football games either. Not in the NFC Championship game.
That is true. All right, let's move on to that AFC Championship game. Kansas City moves on by beating Buffalo 38-24. Why? I'm confused. I'm concerned.
It's a really good team, to say
they
the
are.
least.
They definitely are. I maybe gave them a little less credit than I probably should have.
Thought they couldn't score.
Yeah. I thought so too. Apparently not. I was wrong, and they can clearly score. What are your initial thoughts on this one? Because I am thoroughly shocked.
I figured they would be able to score. I mean, I thought Kansas City would be able to put it together. They came out sluggish in the first quarter, but for some reason, if we look back at this postseason and the postseason last season, they came out and they could not score in the first quarter or even in the first half. But this game, the second quarter, lit a fire under them, putting up 21 straight right there to take it into halftime at 21-12. So, I mean, Buffalo came out and gave them everything they had. I mean, that fumble right there in the beginning of the half, I can't remember who fielded the punt, but they fumbled that punt right there and gave Buffalo that touchdown to really set the tone.
Wasn't it McCall Hardman, or however you say his first name? But it was Hardman, I believe.
Yeah, he fumbled that ball right there, and that lit a fire under him too, because he was not happy. You can just see the devastation look on his face, and then Kansas City just rallied from there. I know he had some good punt returns from that point on, but really, I mean, this game was Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes, and nobody else. I mean, these guys combined for the whole entire offense. I mean, what was the stat? They had, 290 of the passing yards of the 325?
On 22 catches. 2 touchdowns.
On 22 catches.
Whew.
Yeah, those guys are unfair to guard. Tyreek Hill's taking the top off you, and when you go out there and guard him, Travis Kelce's going to eat you up underneath. So this was a very good Kansas City team, and I don't know why we ever underestimated them.
It's not so much that I underestimated them. I expected more out of Buffalo. I really did. We've seen what they've been doing for the past couple of weeks. We saw what they did before the playoffs really started. They kind of got into a little bit of a funk, it seemed, once the playoffs actually did start, I do think a little bit of that is the fact that the Colts were really just that good and people were sleeping on the Colts. But offensively, Buffalo Bills looked like they were better than almost anybody. They were firing on all cylinders. Josh Allen looked like he probably should have had consideration for MVP all along. Now, obviously, he won't get it, and he definitely shouldn't, because of the fact that they had kind of a slow middle of the season. So I don't expect him to even be in consideration. But this team, by all accounts, was firing on all cylinders, and I thought, based on what I saw at Kansas City against Cleveland, they struggled. They really did. Now, clearly Andy Reid did a marvelous job of getting them out of that funk after that game, but they couldn't score more than 2 touchdowns against Cleveland. I had reason to believe that they were going to slowly make their way into this game against Buffalo. And to a degree, they kind of did. But I expected a lot more out of Buffalo's defense. I really did. I thought they were going to be able to contain them a little bit better. I expect the score we got for the NFC Championship game, I thought was the score we were going to get for the AFC Championship game. I thought it was going to be really close, come down to the wire, and that's just the way it was. Now, I would have expected it was probably going to be a high-scoring game, 38-32 maybe, but to be beaten up by 14 points, I didn't see that from Buffalo. But
and that was some average time scores there at the end, too, to help Buffalo even make it look more respectable.
Yeah. But Josh Allen, he had an okay day. 28-48, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception, 7 carries for 88 yards. I think that's the big issue. He had 7 carries for 88 yards. What else were they doing, really? I mean, when you try to have him be the entire offense, that's probably an issue. And something that they're definitely going to need to work on. And that was the big issue coming into the game is, do they have a run game? And maybe not. Something they're going to have to work on for the future.
They'll have to address that this season in the draft or even just in the offseason. Maybe since they're drafting so low, and Najee Harris might be there for him, that would fit perfectly right into their system.
He's going to Pittsburgh. You hush your mouth.
I know you're hoping for it, but if he falls to Buffalo, that's going to make this team even more dangerous.
I cannot disagree. It definitely will make them a viable threat. So, you want to move on to that Super Bowl game?
Let's do it.
All right. Tampa Bay versus Kansas City in Tampa. The first time ever this has ever been done. The first time a Super Bowl team has gotten to play in their own stadium. Tampa will be the home team, although in this COVID era there is no real home teams. But it's still worth mentioning. That's the kind of disappointing part. We're in COVID times. The first time this ever happens, and it happens in the time of COVID. That sucks. But it is Tampa, so at least it's Florida, so they'll probably get at least a couple fans.
Probably. Yeah, they are allowing fans. They're allowing healthcare workers who have been vaccinated to the game.
I think that's awesome. That is
so,
really
yeah, they're
cool.
going to have some of those. I know New England's sending some fans down there to the game that's healthcare workers who have been vaccinated. They're sending them on the Patriots plane down there, so that'll be interesting.
I don't feel bad. I really don't.
I know you don't.
That's hilarious. Oh.
It is awesome they're being able to allow them in there, though.
Yep. All right, so the lines for this one, Kansas City is the 3-point favorite. The over-under for this one is 56. I said yesterday on the Buckeye Bro Show, because we did this game kind of a little bit, at least for the King's Ransom portion of our show, I thought that line was a little high or a little low. I think this is at least a touchdown or more for either team. I think no matter what, I don't think this is going to be a 3-point game. It's going to be a close one for sure. Both these teams are very good offensively, and obviously both these teams are pretty good defensively. Tampa Bay probably a little bit better on defense. But I thought that 3 was a little bit low for me. The 56 I absolutely believe, and I almost would take the over on that one because these two teams can score at least 30 apiece. So I'd probably take the over on that one. What are your thoughts so far on those lines?
Well, I mean, the -3, I'm actually going to take the +3 for Tampa. I think Tampa can cover the +3. And then I think if we look back at the earlier season matchup between these two, Kansas City won the game 28-24. But I think we could get around the same score. So it might actually go under in this game, actually. It's going to be close. I think they're going to get right around that number. I wouldn't even honestly be surprised if we hit 56 on the dot.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd take that. All right, so let's talk about it. We have Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. The GOAT, Tom Brady versus the baby GOAT.
That's right.
Patrick Mahomes. I had to say it. I had to.
I'm proud of you.
What are your thoughts in this game? What are you looking forward to in this game? Your keys to the game for either of these teams. King of the Hill, Ryan Hill. Tell me your thoughts, please.
This is going to be a really fun, exciting game. Both teams have very explosive offense. I mean, we saw, as we talked about, with Kansas City, you got Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Those three guys are unbelievable together. They account for almost all of the offense. And then you got, on the other side of the ball, you got Tom Brady. You got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and possibly Antonio Brown, who I think should be clear for this game after setting out the NFC Championship game. Don't forget about Scotty Miller, who thinks he's faster than Tyreek Hill. So that'll be fun to watch too. But the offenses I'm not worried about in this game. It's going to be which defense can get that initial stop. That's what it's going to come down to. Who's going to finally get the stop to help their team out? Whether that is a turnover or just finally forcing a punt, because I don't think we're going to see the punters on the field very often in this game. So it's going to be getting that first stop. For Tampa, they're going to have to contain Tyreek Hill. You're going to have to let Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, one of those two, eat. Earlier in the season, Tyreek Hill went for over 200 yards. You can't let him go for 200 yards again against you. So you're going to have to contain him and let Travis Kelce take it underneath, because I think they got great linebackers to match up with Travis Kelce to contain him as well. So for them, as for Kansas City, force Tom Brady to make turnovers like Green Bay did. But this time you got to be different than Green Bay and capitalize on those turnovers. And I think they have the offense to capitalize off of if Tom Brady or anybody on the Tampa Bay offense makes a turnover. So Kansas City's going to have to force turnovers, and Tampa Bay is going to have to try and contain one of the two, Tyreek or Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's probably a bad comparison given what the score of the game was, but I very much attribute this one to Ohio State versus Alabama. I know how that game ended. I know what the score was. But at the end of the day, leading up to that game, this was the talk of how that game was going to go. It was going to be who could stop who. Who could stop which offense from scoring. Because at the end of the day, it was going to be a back and forth. And for the most part, for the beginning of the game, it really was. But this game is going to be very reminiscent of that. You're very much probably going to see score after score in this one, which is going to be fun. I'm really excited. I really hope. I love defense, but at the same time, I would not be sad to see this game go into absolute ridiculousness. Because I think that's what football fans would want. You want to see the GOAT, which Tom Brady is to a lot of people, against Patrick Mahomes, who seems to be that next line of guys that could be in consideration for that title. I want to see these two guys just absolutely go out and see, who makes the mistake, who really. I really don't care about any of the other ones. I don't care about Travis Kelce. I don't care about Tyreek Hill. I don't care about, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller. I want to see these two guys. I want to see what they can do, and I want to see them absolutely dominate both sides of the game. So I would not be upset if this game went absolutely ridiculous. But somebody's got to win, so somebody's got to get the stop. Like you just said, though, it's going to come down to who can contain who. Can Tampa Bay contain Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce? For me, though, the other thing that I think is really going to be really crucial for this one, we know both these quarterbacks. We know they both are very good at what they do. But what about the running backs?
That's a lost cause here that we don't see much of.
No. Could that be a key to this game? Can it be who has the better run game? Because we know what Kansas City has in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We know what they have in technically Le'Veon Bell, who is supposed to be starting for this game. Or not starting. He's playing because he did not play last week. But he is going to be suiting up. Now, whether or not he actually plays, I don't know. But I do believe he should be suiting up for this game. Could that be the difference?
we got Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. And Leonard Fournette, I mean, he hasn't played as much lately either, so he should – I mean, he did play an NFC Championship game, but it was kind of limited snaps, it seemed like.
Can you imagine if it came down to Le'Veon Bell and Leonard Fournette?
Oh, I know. It's going to be great.
That would be – like, all kidding aside, like, you kind of made me a little bit frustrated with your comments about Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, and I will get you for that eventually. Someday.
You're welcome.
But that would be an amazing matchup. Le'Veon Bell versus Leonard Fournette. Kind of think of old school.
Who still got it? Who still has it?
I'm going to go with Fournette. I probably would. I think Fournette still got the physicality. I don't know about Le'Veon Bell. But we'll see. All right, so age-old question. Who wins this game? You go first.
I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I think right now Tom Brady's going to solidify himself. Because if he wins this game, I mean, he's really going up against what could possibly be the next GOAT in Patrick Mahomes. Because Patrick Mahomes is playing light years, seems like, above a lot of the other quarterbacks in the league. But I think Tom Brady has what it takes. I think he's going to keep it under control this game, not make as many mistakes as he did in the NFC Championship game, and just make the right moves. Because playoff Tom Brady's a different animal. We all know that. We've all learned that over the years of his entire career. He gets to the Super Bowl this many times for a reason. So I think Tom Brady, with all the experience, if Kansas City comes out slow, like they did against Buffalo or anybody else, or even Cleveland, Tampa Bay will be the team that can put it to them for coming out slow. So I'm going to go Tom Brady. Until Tom Brady proves me wrong that he can't get it done in these big moments, I'm always going to probably put my money on Tom Brady.
Well, and I just saw some, looks like breaking news. According to the Bleacher Report, Willie Gay and Eric Fisher are both ruled out for Sunday for the Chiefs. So, missing a tackle and a linebacker. So, that could be huge. That could be huge. Pieces and pieces you are missing. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay as well. I said Kansas City before, but I think I am going to change my answer because I can do that because this is our show. So I'm going to do what I want.
Can't gets to go, right?
I am going to go Tampa Bay. But the one thing that I really want to touch on is I've heard a lot of conversations because we said baby goat versus the goat. I've heard a lot of conversations about people that say that if Pat Mahomes does not win this particular Super Bowl against Tom Brady, he should no longer ever be in consideration for the GOAT. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I'm going to say to a degree. I mean, obviously the guy still has a whole lot of playing time ahead of him. This is his third full season, maybe as a starter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's got a lot of time playing, a lot of playing time left in his career. So he has the opportunity. I mean, he's got the talent around him to continuously go to the Super Bowls again. But I think it would be hard to eclipse Tom Brady if you lose to him this time in the Super Bowl, because we saw in the AFC Championship game, he lost to Tom Brady a few years back. And now he got there last year, but he didn't have to go through Tom Brady. So his record against Brady's a little off. So it's going to be hard to eclipse that GOAT status of Tom Brady if you don't win this game. But, I mean, he's got a lot of career left to try and change everybody's mind too. So
and
it can go either way.
A few more opportunities, because I guarantee this is probably not the last time we'll see these two quarterbacks face off against each other, even though Tom Brady is maybe going to retire at some point. Maybe. I slightly agree. I don't think it's as drastic as people are making out to be. I can understand, because, most of the comments I heard were from Stephen A. So I don't think it's that dire because of the fact that, Tom Brady couldn't beat Eli Manning twice in a Super Bowl, and we're still call him the greatest ever. So I don't think it's as, and I get it. It's a little bit different of a situation because that, no one's ever going to call Eli Manning the GOAT ever. So it's that mindset of to be the man, you got to beat the man, right? Old Ric Flair adage.
On the biggest stage of them all.
On the biggest stage of them all, and can he do it? Can he not? But I also don't think that it really hinders him that much from getting there. If he goes off and wins more Super Bowls or plays in more Super Bowls or what have you, I think he definitely deserves a chance to be up to that level, even if he doesn't win against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. But we'll see. It should be
Brady's
fun,
not
and it's going to
perfect
be
in the
fun
Super
breaking
Bowl.
that down the entire time. What'd you say?
Said Brady's not perfect in the Super Bowl, so you don't have to be perfect.
That is true. Very, very true. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have Blue Jackets to talk about. We have some good things. We had some bad things. We had some really great things last night. We will talk about all of it when we come back right here on the Perfect 10 Sports Show. This show is sponsored by Mojo Sports Gear. For all of your custom-made needs, all your custom-made hats, custom-made shirts, anything, check out Mojo Sports Gear. They are very good at what they do. They made a lot of our hats, a lot of our shirts. I've said that a million times before. You know what they look like. You've probably seen us wear them a couple times. They are really cool hats, really cool stuff. I've been thinking about getting them to make stuff for this show, but check out Mojo Sports Gear, mojosportsgear.com. They're awesome. We will see you guys right after the break.
Have you always dreamed about a career in sports broadcasting but aren't sure where to begin? Well, if so, then look no further than the Sports Emphasis program at the Ohio Media School. Whether in front of the camera, on the microphone, or behind the scenes, you'll learn from a pro to be a pro in the Sports Emphasis program at the Ohio Media School. You'll get hands-on training and live in-the-field experience at some of Ohio's biggest sporting events. You'll be the star of your very own webcast, and you'll get the opportunity to interview some of Ohio's biggest athletes. Call us today at 614-655-5250 or visit our website at beonair.com.
Do you have design ideas for t-shirts but you're not sure where to go? Go to Mojo Sports Gear. That's right, Mojo Sports Gear. At Mojo Sports Gear, you can get custom-made shirts. Whatever design you need, Mojo Sports Gear can provide it. Don't forget to grab a custom-made cap on your way out and rock the best headgear in the game. Give them a call at 614-864-6656. That's 614-864-6656.
In sports, you want to have a player that can get the job done right every time. A real all-star, somebody that's dependable and you can turn to when the game is tough. That player in the audio-video industry is the theater. From setting up your home's Wi-Fi network and offices, conference rooms, to setting up home theater inside or outside, to setting up the systems to make your home run smarter and safer as well. The theater people can do it all with the quality of professionalism you can expect every single time. That isn't just a great all-around player, that is an all-star. That is why we are the leaders in audiovisual installation in Central Ohio. So call us at 614-604-6327 or check out our website at ttpcolumbus.com to figure out which products will fit you. And don't forget, amplify your personality with the theater.
All right, and welcome back. Nice little quick little break there to get our bearings and get back into what we like to do, which is talk about sports. So this part of the show will all be Blue Jackets all day, every day, because I love the Jackets. First and foremost, though, I do want to point out some people that are in their comments. Mr. Brian Dolo, as always, thank you so much for watching this show. Lindy Hartley as well. And, of course, Ashley Thomas. And, of course, we have actually Sonia Thomas in the comment section. So thank you, Sonia, for watching the show. Thank you all so much. We hope you continue to do so because we are going to get in some Blue Jackets hockey. Starting off with the big news that we did not get to talk about last week. We missed a lot of fun stuff. We really did.
Really did.
I'm sad. But we get to talk about it today, which is awesome. So, Blue Jackets have been kind of busy since the last time you and I got to sit down even like this.
Yeah.
They made a trade, and they traded away PLD, who has been in the news of Columbus Blue Jackets for quite some time since the season started. He got an extension, then it was reported that he wanted out. There have been some things that had happened on the ice that people were just furious with. It looked like he wasn't really even trying at times. It was just a very bad situation. Blue Jackets looked like they were desperate to get him out of there, find some kind of way to move on from him and let him move on from us. He has gone on record saying that it was not Torts, it was not really anybody in the locker room. I don't really see what it could have been at this point. Maybe it was the negotiations that they couldn't agree to a certain number. I don't believe he's actually gone on record to say what actually the reason why he wanted out was. I haven't heard anything. Maybe you can speak to that.
talked about the contract extension. He wanted a long-term deal, but they wouldn't offer him a long-term deal. But Jarmo came out and said that he did offer a long-term deal, so that was false. So I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of that story.
Yeah, and that's been one critique of Yarmo is that he doesn't overpay. And to be honest, as somebody who's a fan of the team, I'm more than okay with that at certain points. I can understand at certain times that is a little bit irritating, especially when you have potential generational players like that or potential superstars like that. But it was not meant to be, and he was moved. He was moved for himself and a third-round pick to the Winnipeg Jets in favor of Patrick Laine and Jack Roslovic. Thoughts on the trade, sir? Because this was a big one. This may be Yarmo's best trade yet.
Yeah, this was huge for the Blue Jackets here, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if you caught the Yarmo press conference after the trade. They asked him, how hard was it to trade away the third-round pick in the draft? And he said, not that hard. We got the number 2 pick. So I just really love that. I love that line that he said.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, that was great. I think it was after the Tampa game when he said that, or right before it. So that was fantastic. I loved to hear that. That was a nice little jab. Even if it wasn't meant to be, it felt like one. So, I mean, I love seeing that. I mean, I love the Patrick Laine trade. I love getting Jack Roslovic here because, I mean, Jack is a Columbus native. I mean, he was born and raised here in Columbus, grew up a Jackets fan. So it seems like we got someone here who actually wants to be here. And we know as Columbus Blue Jacket fans that that's one of the biggest issues with the Jackets is, sure, we can get the talent here. We had a Sergei Bobrovsky, we had a Artemi Panarin, Duche was here, and et cetera. But we can't tend to keep these guys here because they want a bigger market, or they want a team that's going to contend. Sure, we can talk about contending. The Blue Jackets have been in the playoffs, for the past 5 years now since Torts has been around. So they're contending, but not at the level that some of these guys want to be at. But, I mean, if you just stick around, you never know. You can build that chemistry. But as for this trade, I really love it. I mean, Patrick Laine can bring a lot to this team, especially on the power play that we have struggled with so much. I mean, he's great on the power play, and if you compare him up and maybe have Cam Atkinson on the thing at the same time, if Cam starts finding his groove, we saw that a little bit last night, that can make a dangerous power play there. So, I mean, I'm hoping that helps the power play out and just bring a lot of energy to this team. I know he kind of struggled a little bit since getting here, but that's to be expected. It's not going to be smooth sailing straight out the waters for anybody coming here. But overall, I think the Blue Jackets won this trade. I think they got 2 great pieces that can help this team and a guy who really wants to be here, and that's huge for Columbus.
I definitely agree. I almost would say I don't think we just won this one. I think we kind of snuck it in on them a little bit, much like the Rams did to the Lions.
That's true.
Yikes.
We didn't get to talk about that.
No, we didn't. Maybe we'll fit it in, but
We got
much like the Rams did to the Lions, I think we actually kind of walked away laughing from this deal because I think it is a really big deal for Columbus. The bigger question will be, can we keep Laine? Can we keep Roslovic? I think more so than anything else, I do believe Jack Roslovic will be a player for this team for a long time to come. He seems like so far he's enjoyed what he's doing here. He seems happy. He's an Ohio kid, so you get to play for a team you've probably watched for years to come. I'm excited for him. Patrick Laine obviously getting to play finally, got to play in the last couple of games. It's going to be interesting. I definitely think that we did walk away high on this trade. We wish PLD the best. Obviously not too much because we do want our team to win.
I'll still boo him whenever he does come back here.
Yeah. But it has been the talk of the town. Can we keep the big stars? Can we make them want to stay here? And, you brought up the small market. You brought up just the fact that they just don't seem to want to stay here. I'll give you another one. The fans. This may be a little controversial, but I'm going to say
I saw you last night going at it.
Our fans suck sometimes. Sometimes they just drive me absolutely nuts.
And we suck for all of our teams, not just the Columbus Blue Jackets. We suck for all of
our
teams.
Well, and that's the thing. Okay, so I'm wearing the Ohio State shirt, right? The sweatshirt.
Absolutely.
Blue Jackets fans have the Ohio State mentality every single week, and it drives me absolutely nuts. This team is not Ohio State, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not. They don't have the luxury of being a team for hundreds and hundreds of years. Newsflash, Ohio State wasn't all that great when they first started out for the first couple of years. It got better, but it wasn't this until, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
So it's not as if this just happens overnight. You got to be a little patient. I think that this is a step in the right direction, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But we'll talk about the reason why I think our fans are a little bit terrible once we get to what happened last night. But first thing to notice is that the Blue Jackets have been 4-2-1 in the last 7 games that they have played. So it's not as if this team is that bad. They have had a lot of stretches where it's been kind of they didn't start out the season so hot. But since the PLD trade, they've been 4-2-1. That's pretty impressive.
That's a good line to be in right now. And you got to think, they just, like you mentioned, they just got Laine in the lineup 2 games ago against Dallas. He had to clear all the COVID protocols. They had to quarantine for the 2 weeks coming from Canada.
And he was still injured.
Yeah, and he was still injured. He was still in the IR with I think it was an upper body maybe.
I don't know if they ever actually explained what his injury was.
Sounds like every type of hockey injury is upper body, so we can roll with that.
I'm injured. I'm injured.
Yeah, I mean, this team has really been on a roll as of late. The one game that sticks out to me was that Florida game, the one against Bob that they lost in the shootout. That one hurt.
Yeah.
They were leading 3-2 and they gave up a goal with 2.9 seconds to go. That hurt. Obviously they didn't play with energy throughout the whole game, and a lot of people are like they didn't even deserve to get the point that they got. But I don't care. If you found a way to be up 3-2 and under 10 seconds to go, don't lose the game.
No.
I feel like this happens to the Blue Jackets all the time. That game's not over for them until that final horn goes off, because this is a team that can give up a goal in the last 2 seconds. I've watched it happen throughout years of being a Blue Jackets fan, and for some reason they can't put the puck in an empty net. It's terrible.
You just brought up my actual next point, which is, we're going to be critical of this team. We can be critical, and I know that people are going to think that I'm critical of the fans because of the fact that they're critical. No, that's not the issue. I don't mind if a fan is critical of this team when it warrants it. And it definitely does in certain aspects. The power play definitely deserves some criticism. The fact that they cannot get the puck down into the attacking zone on an empty net is an issue. But I do think that once Laine gets going, that could change. Now, is it going to fix all of our problems? No. There's so much still wrong with this team that could be fixed, and possibly will get fixed over the course of the season. To be honest, I think the offense has already improved. This team last year didn't really score that much late in the game. They weren't scoring 3, they weren't scoring 4, they weren't scoring 5. They were scoring 2 and 1. That was about it. They had stretches where they scored 3 and 4 in the playoffs, but this team was not really a prolific scoring offense last year. And now we get this year, and almost their average is up to almost 3. So I think that's very critical for this team. And once you do get Laine in the offense, that can be critical for this team. Obviously, a lot of people are going to look at what happened in the first Dallas game and be a little bit sour about that. And I understand that. What you have to understand is this, though. Dallas was the runner-up last year. The runner-up. What do you expect was going to happen? Now, obviously, I did not expect a 6-3 blowout. I'm impressed that they were able to get some goals to make that a little bit more respectable. I think that says a lot about this team, and it shows that there is some fight in this team, no matter what anybody else says. But you also have to understand that they were outmatched. And this was the first game that Laine and Roslovic really were on the ice together as Blue Jackets. Like we said, Laine has not had a lot of ice time. He's been injured for the most part since this season actually started. He's
that game
not
was
been
on
in Columbus
Tuesday.
before. He's not gotten a lot of practice. I think they actually only gave him one practice and then put him on the ice.
That's what I was going to talk about. That game was on Tuesday night, and he first practiced with the team on Monday. So, I mean, you really had no practice time. You were just thrown into the fire right there. And like you said, you're going up against Dallas, who finished runner-up last year in that whole thing. So, I mean, this wasn't going to be an easy game. This was a game that we all knew that could get ugly. But as you mentioned, I give the Blue Jackets all the credit in the world that even with the game being out of control, they still fought hard to make it a little bit more respectable in this game. And that showed a lot of heart, and that's what I want to see out of this team. Even in games that you're not in, I want you to fight to the end.
Yeah.
I want you to show these fans who want to criticize you all the way through that even if we're down in that water and we're pretty much out of the game, we're going to give you every single minute that we're on that ice. Because a lot of teams will just tuck their tail in and be like, all right, well, now we're just going to skate into the next game and give up. This one, they showed a lot of fight. And if you want to get into the last night's game, I'm ready for it.
Oh, yeah, let's do it because it was amazing. It was awesome.
And
Go ahead. Give me your thoughts first.
yeah, last night, after they went down and lost 6-3 on Tuesday, I mean, they bounced back and really had control of this game against that same Dallas team. So that's what I really loved about this Blue Jackets team last night is they were able to put that sour loss behind them. They probably used it as a little bit of motivation, and they found a way to bounce back and probably play one of their better games. Sure, the final score was 4-3, but I think this is one of the best games I've seen the Blue Jackets play all year. It was nice to see Laine get in there and get the goal. I know a lot of fans came and criticized him for the turnover that led to a goal right after the power play. But, I mean, the guy's probably going to be tired. He was on there. He was drawing the whole attention on that power play that was even out there. I know they only got one shot on the goal in that power play, but he was still drawing all the attention. They made sure they followed him even when he went out of the blue line. So, I mean, the guy put a lot of effort into that power play and wasn't able to get off the line. So, I mean, I'm not going to hold him too much for that. It's his second game. He hasn't played in 2 weeks, really, with the trade happening. But as a team, I thought this was one of their better games. And I'm really proud of this team for being able to bounce back and take down Dallas by the score of 4-3 last night. That was huge for this team and to build their confidence heading forward, especially only playing division games for this whole season.
So something you just said is the reason why that I think sometimes our fans can be quite terrible.
I knew you were getting there.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've seen some of the comments that I made.
Absolutely.
Leading up to that goal for Laine, I saw a lot of people, and we both were in the same Blue Jackets groups on Facebook and Twitter and everything like that. People were ripping him to shreds over they call it being lackadaisical and not really trying or having any effort. Let me explain something to people that have that mindset. There is a little thing in sports called game shape. It's very important. It's very critical. He hasn't played in how long? Pretty long. He's
Probably
not in game shape. He's not, like we just pointed out, he hasn't practiced with this team more than one time up till that game. He played in the one game before, or was this his first game or second?
Tuesday.
His
No,
second,
he played
right?
on the Tuesday game, which was after that
Right.
one-day practice, and then he played last night, which probably parented up to 2 games of practice or 2 practice sessions, if that.
Two practice. And you're expecting this guy to come out on the, and I know fans are passionate. I'm not upset with that. What I'm upset with is the stupidity. You're going to criticize a guy who should probably be the best thing going for this team in quite some time, since probably Panarin, just because he had one bad moment in a game that we shouldn't really have any business probably even winning or being close. Okay. Why? I don't understand it. I really don't. It's driven me nuts about this fan base for quite some time. I still love this fan base. I love this team. But for the love of all things hockey, please be a little bit smarter before you send out a tweet or send out a comment on Facebook, because it looks dumb.
Yeah, and they're so quick to just throw this team right out of the water and say they got no chance right in the first and second period. It's like the whole game isn't even over yet, and this Blue Jacket team's still winning. Like, even after giving up that goal, they were still up 3-2. It wasn't like it was the end of the world. Yeah, it did feel like Dallas had taken all the momentum and they had a shot at coming and tying it up, but the Blue Jackets answered every time Dallas scored, which was huge. I mean, every time that you thought that they had every right in the world to just tuck their tail and be like, all right, let's try to play prevent defense here and just keep the lead. And usually that's when we tend to fail and give up a goal to let the game become even. They went right back down and scored. Cam Atkinson got his 200th goal last night. That was huge for him. I mean, he was grinning ear to ear for the rest of the game after that. I mean, that was just huge. You can tell that a monkey got lifted off his back right there by being able to finally crack that 200th goal. And hopefully that leads to more. And I think the whole season. It will. Oh, it will. I think that's going to boost his confidence up to where he's going to have more and more goals this whole season. So I think they just get way too critical. And this is why nobody wants to play here. As you said, we do have Ohio State mentality. I wouldn't want to play here if, like, my second game here I get traded and you guys are already calling me whatever those names were that you said. I seen them, but, I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't want to play for a team like that either, or a fan base.
To me, like, oh, they're soft for not wanting. No, they're just not going to put up with your crap. That's what it is. It's not being soft. It's being smart enough to not put up with people being ridiculous.
Like, I can't have one bad play. I'm a human, too. I might be a superstar in the NHL, but I'm a human, and I'm going to make mistakes. That's just what's going to happen. We talked about, when we were talking football, Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions, but people still call him the GOAT. I mean, you are going to make
Daniel
mistakes.
Jones, you could take off and not be touched for 80 yards.
Yeah. And then still fall down and not score. So, I mean, they're humans. I mean, they're athletes, yes, and they're put on a whole different pedestal, but they're not – I mean, they're humans. Perfect. That's what I was trying to say still, so – it is what it is. These fans need to understand that. And like you said, this is only his first week with the team, so they got to pay attention to that.
CBJ are second in the Central with more games played. Obviously, that's a little bit concerning because they have more games, then they're not that far ahead in the Central. But I do think that's going to change. At first, if you'd asked me before the PLD trade if I thought that was a concern, I would have said absolutely. But given the way this team has performed, I know they lost the game to Dallas. I know they lost the game to Florida. But Florida was in a shootout. Dallas, again, it's Dallas. They're projected to be one of the 2 seeds in the Central. So all we got to do is finish 3rd or 4th. I would love to see this team finish 1st, absolutely. But at the same time, you got to be realistic. I don't think that's realistic right now. Now, if this team gets better, it absolutely is realistic. They have the pieces to get there. But I don't think that right now they're going to get there. But in terms of thoughts for that, I think the ultimate thing is they're going to be fine. I think they are at least the 3rd or 4th best team in this division. I think they can be definitely better than Florida. Florida just got lucky on the last final seconds. And I do think that they're better than Nashville. I know Nashville swept them, but I think that as this season has progressed, they've gotten a little bit better than that game they played in Nashville. I think they could show that they are much better than those first 2 games shown. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, right, like you said, I think they are probably about the 4th best team in this thing. I think they're better than Florida, and I think they're better than Nashville. That was the first 2 games of the season, and we had that big weight on our shoulders of what's going on with PLD. Nobody knew what was going on. We didn't even know why he really wanted out. He never really said it. So, I mean, as much as the team tried to say that, like, we're not thinking about that, we're just going out here and playing hockey, they're thinking about it. That was gonna hinder everything that they did out there. And as you've seen, ever since the trade happened, it's been a weight lifted off their shoulders, and they played so much better. I mean, they're 4-2-1 in the last 7 games. They went toe-to-toe with the defending champs, Tampa Bay, and then they went toe-to-toe with the runners-up last year in Dallas. So, I mean, this team is really coming around. I know in the last show I said that there was no chance at a playoff push because I didn't like where they were, but they also didn't have that trade yet. And they still have PLD there weighing them back. So I think this team can make a push for the playoffs. Like we said, they're better than Florida. I think they're better, and obviously I think they're better than Nashville. We don't need to talk about the other teams, the Red Wings, the Blackhawks. So I think they're better than them, even though they did just have a loss to the Blackhawks. But we'll see how this goes. I think they have a great shot at making a run now at the playoffs with Patrick Laine. I think him and Jack Roslovic are going to – it's going to take time. It's not going to come in. Roslovic already has 4 points on the season, and Laine got his first goal last night. So it's only going to get better. I hope.
I mean, as long as we're better than the Red Wings, I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts besides those?
Now I'm just excited to see Line and Roslovic gel even more with this team, and I hope that we can keep on going on this streak that we're on right now.
I agree. All right, we are going to take our last break before we get into a topic we haven't gotten to talk about for a couple months, dear sir. And I'm excited. It's going to be fun. I kind of messed up yesterday because I thought that I got my dates mixed up. I thought that it was this weekend that the actual event was. No, I was wrong. It's next week. So I'll have to make that correction next Thursday on the Buckeye Bro Show. But when we come back from the break, we are going to talk about Daytona. We're going to talk about NASCAR, and we are excited. So we will see you right after the break. Once again, this show is brought to you by Mojo Sports Gear. For all your custom-made hats, custom-made shirts, custom-made gear needs, check out Mojo Sports Gear. We love what they do, love the hats, love the shirts. I'd love to see what they can do for us here on the Perfect 10 Sports Show. But again, check out Mojo Sports Gear for all of your custom-made needs, and we will see you right after the break. All right, and welcome back, everybody, to the Perfect 10 Sports Show. And now the time has officially come to finally talk about a sport I've missed for, 4 months? 6 months?
Yeah, since November.
Oh, it's been too long.
I mean, at least you got to celebrate at the end of last season. I mean, once again, I'll say congratulations to Chase Elliott winning his first NASCAR Cup Series championship. It was well-deserved.
Oh, that was a happy day for me. Happy, happy day. But it is back, dear sir. We have more things to talk about with NASCAR. But we have a special little graphic we're going to talk, because we're not just going to bring NASCAR back. No, we're going to make it a segment, and that segment is called 2 to Go. There we go. All right, 2 to go, because we are close to the end of this show, so we have 2 to go. So let's get going. Starting off with the Clash. The Clash will be at the Daytona Road Course this next Tuesday. Your immediate thoughts, kind sir? It's at 7 o'clock. That should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting. I'm really excited. Just anything to see NASCAR back on the track, and especially, I mean, we're talking Daytona, whether it is the road course or not. I know you are kind of a fan of this, I believe, being on the road course. I personally just love the oval at Daytona. I love the Clash being on the oval and seeing it go down that way. I think it's going to be interesting to see on the road course. It's going to be a lot of wild cards going on. It's just going to be exciting watching 24 of the best drivers go at it, because I don't know. I mean, I'm just ready for NASCAR to get back on the track this week. It's going to be a busy next week for NASCAR fans. We got NASCAR every day starting from Tuesday.
And we will break down everything that does happen over the course of this next week right here on the Perfect 10 Sports Show when it does take place. And obviously, we will give our predictions on what we think is going to happen in the Daytona 500 itself on that show. But for this week and this week only, we're going to talk about the Clash. Do you have any predictions?
I think I'm going to make you happy. I think Chase Elliott's going to be able to get this done. I mean, he ended the season on a high note, and he's the best. Right now, he's the best road course racer in NASCAR. I mean, he's won, the last 4 or 5 of them on road courses. So the guy's dominant, and I think he's going to pick up right where he left off on the road courses. So I got Chase Elliott to take it home this weekend, or this Tuesday night, not this weekend.
I'm actually going to stick with a guy that I'm going to be high on for this coming season. He was very good on the super speedways. I think he's going to be that way again. Although this is a road course, so maybe I should change my answer. I am going to go with Chase. You know what? Road course king. I can't bet against him. I was going to try to be not a homer, but I can't. I can't do it. I got to go with Chase. But like you, it's not so much that I'm excited so much for this to be on the road course. It's just the fact that we haven't gotten a lot out of the road course yet. We haven't got to see a lot of the road course. So I'm excited for that aspect. I want to see more of this road course. I want to see more of the intricacies of this road course. I want to see how drivers are able to handle it, because they've not gotten a lot of good practice on this road course before they went into the road course race last year. So I want to see what these teams can do. I want to see if they learned anything. I want to see if they've improved upon anything from that first race at the road course. So I'm excited for that. We have qualifying on Wednesday, and then the duels will be taking place on Thursday night. Those are always interesting, always fun to watch. Do you have anybody you're looking forward to maybe seeing in those duels? Somebody you think is probably going to shine in those duels, Mr. King of the Hill?
Well, I let you be a homer in the first part of that when we're talking about the Clash. I'm going to be a homer in this. I think Joey Logano is going to be able to take it again in whatever duel he is in, because we'll see based on qualifying which duel you're going to be racing in. But I know Denny Hamlin's probably one of the best restrictor plate drivers right now on the super speedway, but I think Joey Logano's right there with them too. Those are two guys that we see up there every single time we're at Daytona or Talladega, so that's going to be interesting to watch. I'm going to watch Joey Logano a lot this week, and even just being a fan, obviously I'm going to watch him. But I'm still intrigued to know who was the guy that you were thinking about picking. You just brushed over it and you went straight to Chase.
That's because I wanted to make you wait. That's what I do. I make people wait. I don't give them what they want immediately. I make them wait.
So you give me a taste of my own medicine what I did last year to you on one of the final episodes of the Red Flag podcast.
Yes, I learned from the best.
Yeah, I know.
No, my guy to watch is a guy that I was really hoping would get a win last year. He's not affiliated with any team that I'm particularly a fan of, but I was really hoping that they would get a win. That's Tyler Reddick. I really want to see him take that car and bring it back to prominence. I really want to see him shine. I think he's got a lot of promise. He was my rookie of the year, even though Cole Custer got the win. But did he actually end up winning it? I forget.
Yeah, Cole Custer got it. I think it really based off of your point standings finish too. So, I mean, though I think Tyler Reddick had a better season, I guess, even though Custer got the win. I think if it wasn't for the win, Tyler Reddick was better last year.
I agree. And that is why he's the driver that I am looking forward to watch. Obviously, I am looking forward to seeing what Chase can do, as well as Joey and Denny.
There is another one.
Huh?
There is another one that I actually want to watch out for this weekend, and since we're going to put in another car, I want to see what Austin Cindric can do with the big guys this weekend, or this week coming up. He's going to be he's going to be trying to qualify for the Daytona 500 in Penske's 5th car.
That should be interesting. We also look forward to seeing what Matt DiBenedetto can do. Obviously, he still gets one more crack in the Wood Brothers car. What can Bubba Wallace do? First time in the Michael Jordan car, the 23. Will he be able to have any sort of success early on in that car? I'm excited to see that, obviously. There were a couple other names. Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe is in the 14 now. That should be interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Ty Dillon is actually going to be racing that 23 car in the Clash.
He is. That is absolutely correct. They're thinking of... Go ahead.
We're going to get to see that 23 car on the track on Tuesday night in the Clash with Ty Dillon. That's going to be fun to see.
Yeah. That'll show you what kind of speed that thing's got. Actually, speaking of that, I didn't put it on the rundown, but we should note that there is talk that Ty Dillon will potentially man a second car for 23 Racing. What is it, 23 IX?
2311 Racing.
2311. They could have a second car in 2022. So Ty Dillon could be the front runner to race in that car. So if he puts on a good showing, kid might have a job. So looking forward to that. Anything else? I want to see what Denny and Hamlin can do, especially given everything that happened last year. Hopefully we don't get another year like that. Please, racing gods, please pray as much as possible that does not happen again. I don't want to see them win 20 races in a freaking year. I really don't.
Oh my goodness, that was terrible to have to watch.
I mean, I love Kevin Harvick, but at the same time, that was just flat out ridiculous. I'm happy who won the championship, but please, no, not 20-some races between the two of them next year. How many did they? Was it? It was close to 20, wasn't it? Wasn't it like 18?
I thought they won more than that. It might have been. Because I think Harvick got what? Well, you might be
10.
right. Because Harvick got like 9 and Hamlin it was way too many to be exact.
Point proven. It was way
For just
too
guys. It
many.
seemed like every week, and they were always finishing 1-2. So I mean, it was like when one was winning, the other one was finishing second. It was just whoever got third place should have got a first place trophy too, because it was a race between those two, and then a race between the rest of the field.
And then I think the last thing to really look forward to is the rookies. We always look at that rookie class when it first comes in. How are they going to handle things? How are things going to look? Obviously, Briscoe being in that mix, can he be the rookie of the year? I'd say he's probably my odds-on favorite going into the season just because of what he accomplished last year. But it should be fun. It should be exciting. Anything
And
else
then
you're
one
really
other guy.
looking forward to?
One other guy to watch out for this year is Kyle Larson. I mean,
That
it's
is
his
true.
first back after he did race a little bit last season, but it's his first time being back now after everything that happened. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can rebound after all that and put it all behind him. He's going to be in one of the best cars that he's ever been in. So
I think
Now's
I've
your
finally
chance.
gotten over that. I think I've finally moved past that to where
you had a couple months to just put it behind you now and
Yeah.
look forward to the
So
season.
I'm excited. I really want to
This-
see what he can do. It's
This
good to
is
have
shaping
him.
up to be a great season.
It really should be. You got a lot of great drivers, a lot of potential, a lot of interesting storylines. This could be one of the most exciting NASCAR seasons yet.
There's one thing we need to go ahead and start praying about now, NASCAR fans. Less rain. Less Mother Nature ruining NASCAR races and having to get them pushed back. Please, I don't want to have to worry about this again. I'm already dreading. I'm hoping it doesn't happen on Tuesday night. I'm like, please, no, I just want to be able to watch NASCAR on Tuesday. I've never
Actually,
been
there's-
excited for Tuesday. It's my least favorite day of the week. So I'm ready to see some racing on Tuesday.
There's actually two things we need to pray for.
Yeah.
That and that Kyle Busch's winless streak continues once again.
Well, he did get one last year.
I know.
But hopefully-
and it
hopefully
needs
we
to
can look
start
at him
over
again.
Do we
Yeah.
count the
See,
ones that he
last
didn't win? Like after he won the race, do we count the ones towards the end of that season that he didn't win in the
I mean,
streak?
they always do. They always do. I mean, whatever race you don't win, that counts as a losing streak.
All right.
But
I just
it
wanna
got
know.
to the point for me where Denny Hamlin drives me more crazy than Kyle Busch does.
That's
So
true.
I want to throw some losing streak in the Denny Hamlin's way as well.
It didn't help that we had Wally in our ear every single time, every time he won.
I had my roommate's a Denny Hamlin fan. One of my best friends also, he's a Denny Hamlin fan. We talk about Wally being a Denny Hamlin fan, and then Mr. Brian Dolo, he's getting into NASCAR now. He's a Denny Hamlin fan. So it's like everywhere I turn, I'm talking to a Denny Hamlin fan. It's just torture.
Here a Denny fan, there a Denny fan, everywhere a Denny fan. Oh, McDonald had Denny fans. Well, if you don't have anything else that you're looking forward to, I know I certainly don't. Do you have anything else you would like to share with the Perfect 10 Nation?
I'm just excited to get out there. Who do you think is going to win the pole for the Daytona 500 maybe?
I think Tyler Reddick. I really do. I'm going to stick with him. I think he showed he can win on these restrictor plates. Or not win, but he can come pretty darn close. I want to see what he can do. I want to see what he learns. So I'm sticking with Tyler Reddick. He's my favorite.
I'm going to go Alex Bowman gets that 48 car in the first place on the Daytona 500 pole.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Well, let us know what you guys think. Tweet us at Perfect 10 Sports. Let us know. Who do you guys think is going to win qualifying? We'd love to find out. Maybe your pick will win. Maybe ours will win. We don't know. But it's going to be fun to find out. This has been the Perfect 10 Sports Show right here on Score on Air Network. We hope you have enjoyed it. He's King of the Hill, Ryan Hill. I'm Hot Wheels Travis Napper. We hope you've enjoyed this Perfect 10 of a Friday. Have a perfect 10 rest of your day. And we will see you all right here next week, 1 o'clock to 2:30, right here on Score on Air Network. See you later.